Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. We're going to start our Louisiana Division I football previews by heading down to Lafayette. And Rogers, it's a first, man. We never were able to get Coach Napier on. We tried, and it was never no ill will, no bad blood. But man, we're so pleased to welcome in the Ragin Cajuns' new head coach, Michael Desormeaux. Coach, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate y'all having me on today.
Well, we're super excited. You guys are the only ones we haven't had in 2 years, so I'm really actually very excited for this. But before we get to that, double check my pronunciation on the name just to make sure I got Desormeaux correctly.
Desormeaux, that's it.
All right, perfect. I am curious because I'm a Patrick, and a lot of people call me Pat. And I try to correct them. Do you all, like, if someone hits you with Desormeaux or something like that, do you immediately go like, "Hey, it's Desormeaux," or is at this point you just like, "Hey, whatever, call me whatever you want"?
No, living in Lafayette, I fought it for a little while, but no, it's certainly, I've been called worse.
That's haven't we all? There's no doubt about that. Hey, you take over first year. Obviously, you've been with the Cajuns for a long time. You were there with Coach Napier, but you take over as the head man now, coming into your first year. Give me some indications so far how things have gone. We're obviously just opening up training camp now, getting ready for the fall season. But up to this point, you're getting ready to head your first camp. Tell me how things have gone in year one for you.
Oh, it's been really good. You know, we have a really good core group of people returning. You know, players, coaches, and staff that they understand, you know, the standard here, and they understand the expectations. So, you know, having these guys that have been here certainly helps. And then, you know, the new hires that we've made and the new players that we've signed, they've really jumped in with both feet and you know, really bought into the way that we do things. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and you know, we're ready to kick this thing off in fall camp and you know, go see what the 2022 Cajuns will look like out there.
You know, you mentioned that you come in, and obviously this program has had a ton of success over the last several years. You've won conference championships. You've had great success in bowls. I mean, is this a I've got to imagine that's tough, right? When you take over a team that's had back-to-back 3-win seasons, it's one thing. You maybe feel like you have a grace period. Is there so much more pressure on you, or do you even feel that coming in, taking over a program where you're expected to have the kind of success that you've had before?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think that's part of the that comes with the territory. When you do get to take over a program that's had success, you know, the expectations are already in place. And we certainly expect as much from ourselves as anyone else can. So, you know, I mean, that's a given. We knew it was going to be that way. And, you know, it's something that, I mean, it's good to be in a place where there are expectations, truthfully. You know, I've been on the other side of it, you know, when we weren't very good, whether that be in high school, college, whatever, and there wasn't a whole lot. And it's a lot more fun when you have that type of expectation and that type of hope going into a season for, you know, having that success at that level.
Oh, no doubt about that. And so but you've been within the program, obviously, during this run of success. You've been with Coach Napier. He held you over from the previous staff. Is it, hey, we're doing the same stuff we've been doing? Is it, hey, I want to put a personal spin on some of the stuff that we're doing? What do you, kind of how much do you change and how much do you keep going from the success that you've had previously?
Well, it's a mixture. You know, I mean, certainly, you know, Coach Napier, I mean, what he did over here and what he allowed me to be a part of, I mean, I'm extremely proud of, and certainly we're looking to build off of those things. But I do believe that no matter who you are, you have to do it your own way. So, yeah, certain things, you know, that you change, maybe, you know, just kind of the organization of maybe, like, you know, fall camp is, you know, maybe you do a couple of things a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the nuts and bolts of who we are and what we do is certainly going to stay the same. You don't have the success that we had and come in here and think you're going to completely change everything. You know, I mean, what we did worked. And so a lot of that stuff you keep in place. The things that really helped us and made us unique, you want to keep in place, and the things that you can improve on, you're always looking for a way to do that.
We, as we talked about, we had not had a chance to talk with Coach Napier. We typically get every coach in the state, or we try to, and we've had some great success with that. And one of the reasons that I like to get the coaches on is because, look, Northwest Louisiana is a good recruiting ground, and you've got some guys from up in this area, Houghton, Natchitoches, some of these places up in this area. What does it mean to be able to kind of get around the state? And you've obviously been in the state for a long time, both with UL and obviously on the high school level. What does it mean to be able to get into Northwest Louisiana or maybe Northeast Louisiana, where you might be competing with some other schools, and be able to find a way to get certain guys out of there?
Well, I mean, I think it's huge. You've got to, especially in today's age, I think, with the transfer portal and all these things that are in play, I think recruiting your state and recruiting your local area is huge. For us, we've had great players from North Louisiana. We're recruiting it really hard right now, and you certainly want to keep, you want to stay relevant in the entire state. In North Louisiana, I mean, the football up there is really good. Year in and year out, they're state championship contenders, and there are players from North Louisiana that go all over the country to play, and we want to be in position to keep them home. I think that for kids that are from Louisiana, I think it means a little bit more when you wear a jersey that says Louisiana across the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for them, it's a little more personal, and that's certainly what we want it. That's what we want it to be. We want them to have a personal tie to this place, and we want them to feel invested. And recruiting the state is a huge part of that.
Talking to Michael Desormeaux, the head coach of the Ragin Cajuns down in Lafayette. All right, you mentioned the transfer portal, and this is, and I keep talking about, it's not the portal itself, it's the 1 year free transfer that has led to what has been basically free agency in college athletics. Give me some indication. I mean, you've lost some key guys to the portal. Obviously, when a coach moves on, they'll oftentimes take guys with them. That happened a little bit for you, but you've brought in guys in the portal. What has the combination of this sort of clearinghouse, the portal, but also the free transfer, how has that changed the landscape of college athletics?
Well, I mean, transfers have been happening forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think the portal has publicized it and almost created an infatuation with it, really nationwide, right? People are following who's in the portal or who's coming out of it, all those things. But, the one-time transfer rule, I believe that allowing the kids to transfer in and of itself, it's a good thing, right? I mean, that's not the real world to not have free will or choices on what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like anything else, certainly you want to do a great job in recruiting, have the kids know and make a good decision. But sometimes things that are out of their control happen. Sometimes they need to change. They need to move. And in the past, the head coach had all the power, with, no, I won't sign a waiver for you to go here or there. You can leave, but you can't go to these places. And, I think those things are good. It makes it more challenging to manage the roster, which is the most important thing that you do as a head coach. Is make sure that your roster is healthy and make
mm-hmm.
sure you're playing in the future. So it makes that a lot more difficult. You can sit here and complain about the people that have left and those things that happen, but it's happening everywhere in
Sure.
the country right now. So you just have to continue to adjust and adapt, and you try to treat your players and your staff really, really well. You try to, make them see that they've got a really good place here. And, you hope that, the transfers are limited because of that. And the turnover in the coaching staff is limited because of that. But, the reality of it is that every year people leave and have left for years. It's just now it's really highly publicized.
Yeah, and the other thing the NCAA is looking at potentially doing away with the one-time transfer rule and just letting you transfer for free as many times as you want without penalty. Would you be for or against that?
Well, I'm definitely against an unlimited transfer.
Mm-hmm.
If everything that we do is in the kid's best interest, which is what we say and what it should be, I don't see how transferring 2 or 3 or however many times they want, I don't see how that's good for a kid who's trying to get a degree. I mean, transferring in-state from a Louisiana school to another in-state Louisiana school, you lose tons of credit.
Yeah.
What does that look like when you transfer across the country? I don't think that that's a direction that we need to go. I do think that the one-time transfer thing, I think that's more than fair. Kids can still transfer after they graduate.
Sure.
A grad school transfer is different than a undergrad. So, if a kid they transfer once, they get their degree, they graduate, and they need to leave again or feel like they want to go somewhere else again. Well, I mean, that's a different deal to me. But I think, when kids start transferring multiple times, I just don't see how they're ever going to be able to graduate, which at the end of the day is the number one goal, right? To get these kids a degree so that they can move on and whenever football's over, they can go out there and go be really productive out there in society and have a job that they're passionate about doing.
Let's talk about your team coming up for this season. We mentioned offense took a little bit of a hit up front. Quarterback, you've got your best running back, Chris Smith, back. Tell me about that quarterback battle. That's what everyone always wants to know about. Tell me what you're looking for. Maybe not even naming a starter, but what are you looking for in this fall camp that's going to delineate those guys between themselves? And then what do you look at in terms of addressing that offensive line?
Well, at quarterback, I mean, I think the thing is that we've got 2 guys that have kind of solidified themselves as the answers for right now. The guys that can go out there and win games for us now. The room, there's a really talented group of kids in that room. A bunch of young guys that you can see in the future are really going to be good players. But Chandler Fields and Ben Woolridge right now give us the best chance to go out there and go win on Saturdays. In the near future here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the good thing is that they can run the offense the way that we want to. You wouldn't have to change it, depending on who wins. They're both very capable in the throw game. They're both very athletic and certainly can do all the runs and the movements that you need them to do. It's really going to come down to me to who can consistently perform within our offense and make good decisions and not put the ball in jeopardy, and and get the ball to the people that need it based on the defensive look. Just be a product of the offense and make sure they're making good decisions within our system. And I think whoever does that more consistently this fall camp is going to be the one that wins the job.
You're an offensive guy, so I just want to ask you kind of a broad offensive question. Defenses have gotten faster, they've gotten more complex, and a lot of offenses have responded by spreading the field, throwing it more. We're seeing a record number of guys throwing for 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 yards. Y'all have kind of gone the opposite direction in that you're balancing, but you're using that quarterback as that extra weapon. Kind of take me through why you feel like that is the most effective way to counteract what we're seeing defensively these days, having the quarterback not just sit back there and throw, but have to be accounted for by the defense.
Well, I mean, football is ever evolving and changing, right? And I mean, you talk about it, it's offenses change and then defenses change, and it's kind of like you're constantly playing chess, trying to get the upper hand. But the one thing that hasn't changed is that at some point in the game to win, you have to be able to run the ball, and you have to be able to stop the run on defense when you need to. That has never changed, and it won't. Now, you go about doing it different ways, but for us, we still hang our hat on being a tough, hard-nosed football team that, we're going to establish the run, and we're going to throw play actions off of it and do those things. I do think that we could probably mix up, our passing game a little bit more and maybe, be a little bit more balanced in early normal downs in the pass game. But, I mean, the formula that we have works. You establish the run and you build your throw game off of that. And then on defense, you play really tough. You stop the run, you make them throw it to beat you. And the formula has worked. So, I mean, you certainly we're not going to, ditch what's worked for us. You add wrinkles here and there, but our offense is something that I think makes us a little bit unique, and it helps our defense. With all the good on good practice we do, our defense gets to see a whole bunch of different looks and things.
Mm-hmm.
it helps them throughout the course of the year as well. So, I mean, for us, we still believe that you got to run the football if you want to win.
Your number one returning tailback, Chris Smith, did have a touchdown pass. Is he lobbying to get more time at quarterback this year, Coach?
Constantly, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. How many every week is he like, where are my throws in the game plan every week?
Yeah, he tries to remind you every week that, he played a little bit of quarterback in high school, and he can still do it. So, it's we got a bunch of former quarterbacks on the team, so I hear that all the time. They all want a double pass, that receiver, or a reverse pass, or a toss pass like Chris had it. They all, it's constant. So you just gotta appease them every now and then.
Completely understood.
It works.
Yeah, well, hey, if it works, then what do then everything's good when it works. It always feels good. Hey, tell me about defensively. Your offense has kind of been, a lot of guys playing, a lot of guys, great depth. Defense is kind of the same way. I've got to imagine that helps when guys hit the portal or new guys are coming in. You're not necessarily reliant on one or two or three key pieces. That makes, I guess, things a little bit easier for you, especially when you look at a defensive side where so many of these offenses are up tempo and high octane.
Yeah, in today's game, you have to play a lot of people on defense. There's just too many plays and the tempo's too fast to be able to roll out there with 11 guys, a whole game. And, offenses are so multiple. You have to match personnel on defense and do those things. So it creates a lot of roles for young players on our team that, fortunately they get those roles and they get a taste. And as they produce and they play and they perform, they earn bigger and bigger roles. And so, you got a lot of guys on that defense that have played significant roles, a lot of them that played in a supporting role that we've seen them play on Saturdays. And have done a good job. They'll get a bigger role. And then you got some that, this year will be in the support roles that haven't gotten to play much. So it's kind of the natural progression of things and the way that you want to do it by playing a lot of people. And we've always felt that way here. And it puts you in position where, you graduate guys, you get guys drafted, you have a couple guys leave, whatever the case is, you feel comfortable because you've seen guys, with the lights on play and make plays. So, the thing for us this year is just a lot of new opportunities for people on our team to go out there and impact, this program.
Mm-hmm. Last couple things for you, Coach. Michael Desormeaux, head coach of the Ragin Cajuns, joining us. The schedule looks pretty manageable. You've got a trip late to Florida State, which is obviously going to be a tough one, although they haven't been what they've been in the past. The other issue is the Sun Belt is a little different than it was. You've got a different look for the Sun Belt this year, adding Old Dominion, James Madison, Southern Miss coming over. They're in your division. Give me some indication of what you're expecting off of that schedule, but mostly what you're seeing now with these new teams, this influx of teams coming into the Sun Belt.
Well, it's a great time to be in the conference. It's as competitive as it's ever been. You added some teams with like real football tradition and history, with Southern Miss and Marshall and James Madison and Old Dominion on the rise over there in the East. But look, the one thing about this league is we've played 14 one-possession games in the last 2 years.
Wow.
So it's competitive as all get out. We found a way to win those games, and we performed in critical situations. But that's what football is, right? It's a handful of plays that dictate the outcome of it. And if, they swing one way or the other, it dictates the outcome of the game. So for us, we're certainly not sitting here, thinking that, we got it all figured out. And we're not thinking that, this is going to be a cakewalk. We know how competitive this league is, and we've seen it firsthand. And for us, we know it's going to be a dogfight every week when you go into it. So you just got to prepare for that mentally, physically, and when the moment comes, you just got to perform in that moment.
And you start off with I call games for Northwestern State. So you start off with one of our conference brethren, Southeastern Louisiana, Frank Selfo. They've had a great run the last couple of years. So a fun opener. Luckily, I guess for y'all, Cole Kelly isn't there anymore. So they'll be doing a little transitioning of their own. Coach, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. We have definitely missed having a presence from Lafayette up here in Northwest Louisiana. And we certainly look forward to catching up with you as the season rolls along.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank y'all.
All right. Michael Desormeaux, head coach of the Ragin Cajuns, joining us on our Louisiana Division I football preview.